guys feel coming off a Thursday night game and getting ready now to more of a regular schedule?
No, it's good. It was nice. Obviously, with the short week last week and getting the weekend to, rest and get our bodies back. And obviously, it's still early going into week 3, but it's always nice to have the weekend to get your bodies back. So I think it helped a lot of guys.
Have you seen the Jaden Reed video after he got?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
What do you think of it?
No comment. No comment. I'm glad he's doing all right.
Jordan, what he means to your offense and the versatility and everything he brings, how do you guys replicate that?
Yeah, I think Jay Reed's one-on-one. It's definitely a guy that will be missed out there on the field, and obviously the injury, it's tough. So he'll be missed, but like I've said before, we got a lot of guys in that receiver room who can step up, guys who've played a lot of good minutes, and this won't be their first time getting in there. So I'm just got to keep leaning on those other guys, and guys got to step up, keep making plays. But we got a deep receiver room, so it won't be too big of an issue.
Could this potentially mean more opportunities for Matthew Golden?
For sure. I think it means a lot more opportunities for MG and for everybody else in that receiver room. A guy goes down, and there's definitely going to be more ops for other guys, but definitely MG.
Jordan, that 3rd and 9 run, you see the open grass in front of you in the pocket. How long did it take to realize that there was going to be obstruction in the way for the marker?
Yeah, no, as I got out and was running, at first you kind of start take off and look to see if you can have a pass anybody's working for a scramble drill type thing, and then kind of just felt that room, and as I took off and, I could see the sticks on the sideline, I knew I was going to be short, so I saw the corner coming, so I knew I was going to have to try and, lower my shoulder, try and make that play to get the first.
Was that even a play that you could conceive of trying or attempting with how your legs felt a year ago?
Yeah, I don't know. It probably wouldn't even be something I would try, honestly, depending on how I was feeling. But, it's one of those things, when you're playing, you're not thinking too much. You're just going out there and playing free, playing fast, and, split-second decisions like that, you don't really have too much time to process. My body's feeling a certain type of way. So I'm always trying to go out there and get that first, but who knows what I would have been feeling last year.
With the way you guys have been playing, how much or how confident are you guys going to be your first road game of the season? Just the way you played at home, but now you got to beat on the road.
Yeah, no, I think we're always confident. Every week is obviously a new journey. Like you said, first road game, so it's going to be a test. It's going to be something that we haven't experienced yet with 2 home games. We won't have that crowd behind us and be in a enemy territory. So it's one of those things where we just it's a test. As every week is. But a really good Browns team, really good defense over there. So we got a good test in our hands. But every week is a new challenge. But I got a lot of confidence in this group, and I think we all got confidence in who we got.
What did the coaches say about you bringing down your shoulder? Going back to Ryan's question about the run, what did the coaches say about you bringing your shoulder down on that one?
Man, everybody says, it was nice, but don't do it again. So that's kind of what I heard from everybody.
So what is that decision, though, kind of on a serious note, what is that decision for you in real time to put your shoulder down, get out of bounds, slide? What does it come down to for you?
Oh, man, it's 3rd down right there. Like I said before, I saw the sticks. I knew we only needed a couple more yards trying to pick it up. So I'm a competitor. I'm going to try and go out there and get it, no matter who's out there. But it's just one of those things, you got to always balance being smart, things like that. But, it's football. I'm a football player. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm not scared of a little contact.
So you might do it again?
We'll see. Well, who knows?
You won the battle there, didn't you? You feel good about winning that battle?
Yeah, man, we got the first. That's all that matters.
What do you mean you get the scepter, the angry runner one?
Yeah, that was cool. That's cool. I never thought I'd be winning something like that, angry runs, but it's cool.
Jordan, those two deep shots to MG in the last game, how close were those in your eyes, and just how do you feel about the two of you kind of moving forward off of coming pretty close?
Yeah, we were close on a couple. We had it was the same route that Wicks, the earlier deep ball we had that we missed, and then the one that MG ran later. But man, we were right there. Just missed a little bit too much out there, and probably just put a little more air on those balls and let them get a chance to gauge it. But I'm always trying to put it out there for them, let them go get it. But it's a game of inches. We're right there. The other one I had to MG, that 4th down. That was one that I kind of got back to him late. We thought there was 12 on the field, so it's kind of free play mindset. And I couldn't even tell where the post safety was at that time when I got back to him. So, I wish I would have put that one out there a little bit more. But definitely that was a super underthrown. So tough play right there. But, yeah, it's a game of inches, and, I just got to hit those.
Tucker had a nice season for you last year, but what's the difference you've seen in him
this summer and also these first couple games this year?
Yeah, I think for Tuck it's just that confidence. He knows who he is out there, and he's going out there and just playing fast and making plays. And I think the play style is something that we've seen since his first couple snaps in that Chargers game when he caught a flat route and makes guys miss and hurdles people and scores a touchdown, but stepped out of bounds. So I think the play style that he's playing with, I think that's always been there. I think it's just now the banked reps and the built-up confidence for the consistency that he's playing with, and just going out there and doing it day in and day out. So I love what he's doing. He's playing really fast. He's making big-time plays, but he's always been a reliable guy. He's got sure hands. He makes plays when the ball's in his air, and he's always trying to get that extra yak. So I think it's just confidence.
How cognizant do you have to be of which side Miles is lining up on, just to set protections and be aware yourself of where he is? Very.
Obviously, he's one of the best in the game. So you always got to know where he's at, what side he's lining up on, and just be aware. And obviously, try and get as many hands on him as possible. But he's a stud. He's one of those guys that can wreck a game for an offense. So definitely always got to know where he's at.
After Miles, what stands out on how the Browns defense performed against the Bengals and the Ravens?
Man, I think they're just a really sound defense. I think watching film, they don't do a whole lot of crazy coverages. They're pretty set in what they want to run, and it's one of those defenses where it's like, hey, we're going to run this, and you guys got to come out and find ways to stop it. So I think they've done a really good job against the run, and obviously their rush, shows up on tape all over the place. And their DBs are all tied in. I think those guys have been there for a while, so they're all pretty tied into the system that they're running, and they're a really good defense. They got good players all over the place, and like I said, the scheme is really well. So you don't see a lot of just wide open guys or drop busted coverages, things like that. But yeah, they're a good defense.
Jordan, we've all seen Micah's impact on the field. What is he like in there with you guys, or even, I don't know if you've had a chance to hang out with him away from here, but what is he like in those kind of settings?
Man, Mike is just a regular dude. He's just like the rest of us, and I think that's what's easy for him to come in and fit in with the team. And obviously, everybody knows what type of player he is, and then you get to get around him. And like I said before, he's a very competitive guy. So, he's always talking to guys, and big personality. So, but he's just a dude. He's just like the rest of us. Gets along well with the team. So, yeah.
Have you played any ping pong or any other competitive basketball, anything?
I ain't got him in the ping pong yet. He was playing against Tucker the other day, but I haven't seen him in the ping pong yet.
When you're going against a great pass rusher, do you have to be conscious of how little time you have, and do you also have to be conscious of not to bail out or give her the ball too early?
Yeah, I think anytime, like you said, that you're going against an elite pass rusher, you always got to know where he's at, and you kind of just got to know what the protection is. How many guys do we got sliding to him? Do we got chips on him? Does he have a one-on-one rush with somebody over there? So you always got to be aware of that, and just keep that time clock in the back of your head. And you don't want to be, versus any rush in the NFL, you don't want to be holding on to the ball too long. But it's all about that pocket awareness. Just having a good feel for where guys are at. If anybody gets beat right away or things like that. So you just got to be cognizant. But yeah, anytime you got a really good edge rusher, just knowing where he's at and knowing who's blocking him and how many hands we got on him at all times is important.
When you look at how well you've played and then some of the near misses that you've had in the first two games, what do you think the ceiling is for yourself for this offense once the timing on those type of things get down?
Man, I think the ceiling is high. I've always said that for our offense, it's just about the consistency. We've been able to make big time plays and big explosive plays, but it's just stacking those on every play and not having any drop off, not having any 3-and-out drives or just missed ops. So I think it's just finding that consistency and going out there and not leaving anything out there on the field. Making all those big time plays. But we're a very explosive offense. We've shown that. But I think there's still more out there for us, obviously, with some of the misses. But it just comes down to being consistent.
Jordan, how often do you communicate with Jeff Hafley on a week-to-week basis, just about whatever? And what do you think of him as a guy and a coach and what he's done here the last year and a half?
Yeah, we'll talk. That's kind of all the defense coaches. We'll all pick each other's brain, especially if we're going against similar defense schemes or guys they've been around, or the DB coaches will ask me sometimes what I'm seeing, things like that. So we'll talk. But no, I'm not sure I can't remember the other part of your question.
Just what
but
you thought of the job he's done here in the
year
plus that he's been here.
No, he's been great. Obviously brought in a little bit of a different scheme when he got here last year, but it's one of those things where you can tell from day one when he got here, the juice those guys had, how tied in things have been. And I think going into year two, it's been even better. The DB's been even more tied into what the coverages is and kind of what the weak links are in some of those coverages. And, they're playing great. And obviously the rush is you see it in games, man. They're getting home, and the defense is just flying around. There's a lot of energy and juice out there, but I think they put a lot of pressure on offenses. You know, we do a lot on defense, a lot of different disguises and different looks. So it's a tough defense to go against.
Jordan, with not having Jay Reed for a while now, what did it mean to see Malik Keith make that nice toe tap catch on the deep ball and all that in the last game?
Man, that was awesome. First of all, that was a crazy catch that he made. When I saw the replay and saw that he got his toes in bound, I was like, man, that's crazy. But I think that's just Leak. He's been here for a couple years now, and every time he gets in there and gets his opportunities, he's made some big time plays. And obviously, we know what type of hands he has and just the dog he is. He's a very competitive person, wants to go out there and win every rep. So I think for him, it's just been, he's been doing a great job staying locked in, and every time he gets an opportunity out there, he's made the most of it. So I just got to keep building it with him.
Did you think that was a catch before the replay?
No, not at all. I thought I didn't have a great angle at it, but I thought for sure it was like a couple yards out of bounds, honestly. And obviously the refs were saying incomplete right away. But I didn't even think anything of it, and I saw the replay and I said, oh man, that's a great catch.
Knowing how good the Browns defense is, how does that, if at all, change the game plan, especially the run defense? They've only allowed 91 rushing yards all year. Does that change the game plan at all? If so, how does it for you?
No, it doesn't at all. Obviously, I think, like you said, they've been great against the run this year, but they've also been really good against the pass as well. So they're just all around good defense. But for us, it's about setting our identity and going out there and playing our game. And obviously, trying to set up the run early and building stuff off that with some of our passes and play action. But no, I mean, like you said, they're a good defense against the run, so that's not going to discourage us from trying to run the ball.
Jordan spends most of his time at left tackle in camp, and then as soon as the season comes, he goes back inside the guard. Basically, he wants to be a left tackle, but he plays guard. How have you thought about the way that he's kind of handled that adaptability and managing both spots?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think obviously coming into camp, it was, it was going to be, they want to see some competition with him and Sheed at left tackle. So, I think anytime for a guy that's it's a tough position. You got to go out there, you're splitting reps, things like that. So you're not getting all those reps that you might need. So, and then to move him back to guard, where he was already, doing some split time between tackle and guard, that's a tough spot, especially for a young guy. But I think he's done a great job with it, and just staying locked in and being ready for. He's a guy that, kind of like Elton was a couple years ago. Like, he can play guard, he can play tackle. So if we have different injuries, things like that, I have confidence that he'll be able to step in wherever, and he's pretty versatile. So I think the more you can do, the better.
Two more for Jordan. Hey, Jordan, going back to the run offense, Josh is as unselfish as they come, but I'm sure he would like to be more productive. The first two opponents have obviously been pretty committed to stopping you guys. What can you guys do to get him more ops and get him more space and just get him going?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always starts up front, and we got to do a great job just, moving guys and creating lanes and different things like that. But like you said, I think the two defenses we played I think they've made an emphasis on trying to stop the run. Obviously, we all know what Josh did last year, so I think teams, that's kind of the game plan coming into it. So it's one of those things, like I said before, we just got to keep staying with it. Don't go away from the run. But like you said, Josh is, he's unselfish, but he definitely wants those touches and wants those carries. But, I think it's something that's going to keep picking up as the year goes on. Keep finding ways to get him the ball and get some lanes for him to hit. But, I think the run's always going to be there. It's not something we're going to shy away from.
What goes through your mind when you see a stacked box like that where somebody's that committed to stopping Jacobs? Like, what are your thoughts in those moments?
Yeah, I think there's opportunities to throw the ball downfield. I think when guys try and load the box up, like you said, and whether the DBs are playing off or press, I just think it gives us more one-on-one ops down the field, when they're not getting out of that shell coverage and giving us some more ops. And I think we've done a great job of dialing some deep balls up. And, like I said before, we've just missed a couple, but we've hit a lot of big ones too. So I think it's going to keep opening up the passing game. And I think if we keep doing what we're doing in the passing game, the run game is going to keep showing up, and we're going to have to make people get out of some of those coverages they've been doing. So, yeah.